Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy, sounds like he is in his mid-50s, and he shares his story about his female cousin. Female cousin that was about a couple of years older than him, and like a lot of gals, she was damn good looking in her prime. High school, 20s and all that, pretty face, good body, and of course, lots of guys were interested in her. And the way this usually works is gals like that get a lot of attention from guys, oftentimes, not all, but often, tend to have an attitude, tend to think they're high and mighty, and can just toss guys aside, no big deal. But what's always interesting in stories like this, as you're going to see, eventually time catches up with them. And then decades later, they go from being the hotties in their teens and 20s to being outright hideous. And I'm sure many of you guys have seen this on Facebook, high school reunions and all that. And a lot of the guys that they had that were interested in them, they tossed them to the side of the road or rejected them, wouldn't give them the time of day. Now these gals are in their 40s or hell, sometimes in their 30s, and they can't get any guys, let alone if they can get a guy, they sure as hell aren't going to get the guy to marry them and all that. And you're going to see that in this story. And a lot of times they become wrecks through excessive drinking, drugs, obesity, all those things. And you're going to see this in this story. So that'd be a good one to go over here, guys, just to show you, as a reminder, for you young guys out there that have been rejected. And I don't mean rejected in a polite manner, but actually outright just been rude to, and girls treat you like you were just a piece of garbage, or they dumped you for just some jerk. Know this. A lot of these gals with these high and mighty attitudes, in time, believe me, what gives them that attitude, they're not going to have those looks anymore. And believe me, the guys are going to have the last laugh. And I'm sure a lot of you have observed this, particularly you older guys. And also for the gals that watch this, if you're young, and you never know, keep in mind you may be a good-looking girl now and have a great body and get a lot of attention, but lose the attitude. Because one day you're going to be just like these gals very much, and you'll be begging guys to pay attention to you. So, starts up, says here, Dear SSM, I've been a fan of your show for a while now, and even though I have a plethora of relationship debacles of my own to share, I figure I'd take baby steps and start with a short story, told to me by my cousin a couple of years ago before she drank herself to death in her mid-40s. And you guys are going to see what led to her doing this. It says, all of my stories are way longer and more detailed, so this is best to start small. Well, bro, send your stories in when you're ready. He says, over a decade ago, not long after I got an account in Facebook land, I had a long-lost cousin reconnect with me. We went to the same rural high school in the early 80s and got along pretty well, but never really hung out together, as I was a couple years older than her and partying like I wasn't going to live past 20 years old. She was studious, dark-haired beauty that turned many heads in the hallway and had a boyfriend or two during those years. But again, because we ran different crowds, I wasn't really aware of her romantic life and the decisions she made in her relationships. So, okay, it's being well established. Real pretty girl, no problem with boyfriends, a head turner, all that. After graduating high school in 1985, by the skin of my teeth, at the age of 17, I promptly joined the military as a means of an escape and slowly lost contact with darn near everybody that I knew. Growing up, my family lived like vagabond gypsies, so losing contact with folks was standard operating procedure for me. As an example, by the time I was 15, we lived in over a dozen states, and I was enrolled in damn near 24 different public school systems. Holy crap! What the heck did your parents do for a living? I mean, were they in the military and they were constantly being shuffled around? I mean, my nephew's going through that with my sister and brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is a commander in the Navy and a doctor, but I don't think he was in that many places. Fast forward to the late 2000s, and the power of social media allowed me to reconnect with a whole lot of folks that I lost track of. And of course, one of them was my cousin. She was living near her family, and they relocated to the Midwest, and while it seemed like she turned out all right, she was dealing with a recent family tragedy, the death of one of her brothers, and kind of in the beginning stages of a midlife crisis. Okay, so at this point, I'm guessing she, let's see, what time... late 2000s, so maybe you guys are late 30s, something like that. While she was still reeling from the loss of her brother, she also lost her job not long afterwards and decided this was her opportunity to make changes in her life. She wanted to travel and see some friends in other states before hitting the reset button, and asked if she could come visit me too. Of course, I told her to come on down and look forward to catching up with her. in person after all these years. So, she started her journey, bouncing from friend to friend over a couple to 3 months, until finally making her way to my corner of the country. Now let's remember, guys, when she was younger, darn good looking girl, and you're going to find out more details about her attitude in a moment. Now I understand that the passage of time affects everybody, but her photos on Facebook were still flattering, even with the additional years. So imagine my surprise when I go to the airport and this drunken, obese woman I don't recognize shouts out my name in my cousin's voice. How many of you guys have seen people, they portray themselves a certain way on social media, or the dating apps? That's even better. How many of you guys have been on a date, blind date? You see pictures, you're like, okay, she's good looking, and you get to the bar or the restaurant or the public place you meet, you take one look at her and you're like, what in the job of the hut am I looking at here? You know? Or you go to a high school reunion and see the pretty girls and it's like, whoa, what the hell happened to you? She runs up and gives me a big hug. I'd be afraid she's going to try to eat you. And her eyes dancing in delight and delirium, while I'm trying to mask my shock as she looks like nothing like the girl I knew in high school, let alone the lady she represents herself as on social media. On social media, she still looks quite attractive and all that, but in reality, she's a hippo. We spent the next couple weeks catching up, and one of her recurring complaints about life was that her current boyfriend's hesitancy to marry her, even though they've been together for like 7 years. Well, let's see. She's obese. You said drinking problem, because you hinted that in the beginning of the story here. So why would anybody be in a rush to marry her? And remember, this is the girl you said was a knockout when she was younger. What the hell happened? But the attitude is, hey, so many guys want me. They want me whether I'm a beautiful, thin, in shape young woman who takes care of herself or a big, giant blob of shit. That's what happens. And can't quite understand why the guys don't want them anymore. It says here, of course, while I sympathize with her plight, I let her know that marriage is a sucker's bet for men and rewards women for their bad behavior. So it's understandable if he's not enthusiastic about matrimony, not to mention after damn near a decade without trouble, nor having a pony up a ring, why ruin what seemed to be working. In addition, I expressed my surprise as she never got married when she was younger, and I asked her why. And that's when she told me this short tale. Now, listen to this, guys. This goes back to when a gal's in her prime and beautiful and has the high and mighty attitude and shits on good guys. When she was in her mid-20s, she was in a relationship with a guy for a while, and he decided to take her on a romantic trip to Paris. Little did she know that he was planning on proposing to her during the vacation, and asked his best friend to help him out with a surprise. Unbeknownst to her, the boyfriend's best friend flew to France with the engagement ring the day before, in order to greet them at the gate and help the boyfriend propose. Now, I don't like these ridiculous public proposals at sporting events or things where a lot of people are around. I think that's just stupid, and it puts the gal under a lot of pressure. I'm going to say that. I think that's fair to say. And not to mention they're lame as fuck. But this guy, he couldn't just put the ring in his freaking carry-on and waited in front of the Eiffel Tower, because I've seen proposals in front of the Eiffel Tower twice when I've been there. No joke. But instead he flies his buddy there. You know what I mean? But fair enough, but this is a good guy, you know, he means well. It says here, according to her, when the best friend appeared out of nowhere, she instantly flipped out on her boyfriend, asking why the hell his buddy is here, making a huge scene in front of everyone at the airport. And in her own words, being a complete and total bitch. This is how you treat this really good boyfriend of hers. But where does that attitude come from? It comes from, I'm so hot, I'm so beautiful, I can treat anybody the way I want because I've been treated like the queen since I started growing something up top. Really, that's it. In fact, that attitude starts, honestly, when they're little girls and just being told how beautiful they are and people treating them extra special, letting them get away with bullshit. It really starts when they're little girls. And right here, and she admits she was being a total bitch. When she finally finished her tirade, the boyfriend, looking as shocked as you might imagine, glanced at his best bud and then turned back to her to confess his intentions. Apparently he even showed her the ring, but after she publicly tore him into like a monkey on a cupcake, he was in shambles and there was no way in hell he'd ever marry her. Well, thank God for that after all that. He's dodging a big one. Then he and his bro left her alone in the airport and never to cross paths again. You know what? As heartbroken as he was and shocked, he dodged a big one. One, because of who she was. He got to finally see who she really was. And also knowing that she becomes a big obese blob of shit later in life, you know. I have to confess, at the time, I silently praised that poor dude, happily because he dodged a bullet. That's what I said. And glad his best friend was with him to help unload such a cumbersome burden. I also tried to empathize with my cousin, but after that conversation, anytime she lamented her current boyfriend not stepping up to the plate, I'd remind her how she had a chance, and that if her current man knows the tale of a missed opportunity, there's probably no way he'd ever propose either. And he says, karma is a bastard, and my curt conversational manner can be too. Yeah, there you go. Obviously, she was with a good guy, cared enough to make a good proposal, and look how she treated him. Right there. How many of you guys had girlfriends, maybe they were harsh to you like that? Or just pretty girls you were nice to, and they took advantage of your kindness and all that? And it's like, where do you get the attitude? Where do you get the right? But like many of you, I've seen gals I went to high school with who were physically quite beautiful and had an attitude. And then decades later, because it's been over 25 years since I graduate, you know, it looks like they're job of the Hut's daughter. He says here, she returned home not long afterwards, but unfortunately fell back into old patterns, never hitting the reset button and drinking her woes away. Until 2 years ago, she died of liver failure. Hopefully she's at peace now, but her tale of woe should be warned to all. We reap what we sow. So there you go, guys. That was a very quick tale about this guy's cousin and all. And again, let it be a warning to all the gals that watch this. If you're young and beautiful, hey, great. But don't walk around high and mighty. Don't walk around with a big attitude, because it will come back to bite you in the butt one day. Because, look, we all get older. End of story, you know. Things don't work like they used to. It's hard, your metabolism slows down. But you have to really take care of yourself. But a lot of people think, hey, I'm so in demand, I'm so amazing, I'm God's gift to the world. I don't have to. And you know what? I've seen guys, the athletes, the jocks in high school. I've had some friends that were jocks, and they were actually cool guys. Look at them now. They got dad bods, and they just don't take care of themselves. Or guys that were jerks, and you look at them now, it's like, good freaking Lord. But in their mind, they're still that amazing, that cool. And so it comes back to haunt you. So guys, you've been rejected, in a mean way. You'll appreciate a story like this. And just know, young guys out there, that you've got gals that treat you like garbage and all that, and you are decent. You're not behaving in a way that warrants that behavior. Believe me, in time, they'll get what's coming to them. Trust me, I've lived long enough to know this, and here's a story that just backs it up. So, anyway, guys, quick karma story. I thought you'd find that entertaining here for a Friday. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got a great story like this share, definitely email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. This is personal stories, or a crazy story found online, which I can do on my other channel, They Did What, or a shorter story I can do in the Clips channel, news articles, asking me a question. I'll take them all. Mix things up. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.